I was reluctant to talk about JuJu Smith-Schuster because, again, this is nothing but a rumor. However, it's starting to get legs. It's starting to get legs. So I thought, you know what? Let's just break down Juju, what he was, what he is, what he could be, what happened, all that good stuff with JuJu Smith-Schuster, and is he a good fit? First off, let's talk about what went wrong with Juju. He was here, and in my opinion, and a lot of people's opinion, it just looked like he got too full of himself. You know, he wasn't as committed to the craft and didn't keep the main thing the main thing. It was always a social media thing near the end. It was a social media. I'm going to make TikToks. Him and Chase Claypool, Juju's making TikToks on the opposing's logo in the middle of the field in road games, stuff like that. Again, I blamed Mike Tomlin a little bit for some of this nonsense. He could have shut all that down. But again, it's immaturity at its finest. There was no need for him to do that, but he did. And I think that got in the way, just like I mentioned before. He didn't keep the main thing the main thing. He excelled at a number 2 position, at the number 2 wide receiver position, but he thought he was a number 1, and he was never a number 1. And I'll be honest, people, there's nothing wrong with being a number 2 receiver in the National Football League. While we all think that we're great, he wasn't. He was playing with AB. And when AB was right, it made Juju so much better. But that's kind of where it went wrong, if we remember. He had that incredible sophomore year. He got voted the MVP of the offense. AB went berserk, and that was kind of the end of that. But he did play outstanding when he had literally the best receiver in football playing next to him. But he thought he was better than what he was, and that was kind of part of the problem. So now here's the thing. I loved where the Steelers drafted Juju. I did. I didn't think it was a problem at all. I thought where he got drafted, it was a good spot, And then he goes to Kansas City. And I thought he played okay in Kansas City, actually. Outside of Kelsey, I mean, he was the leading wide receiver on their team. He played well, and it ended up getting him paid. He got him a Super Bowl ring. He was part of the play that actually won the Chiefs the Super Bowl. And he got himself paid at New England. Now, in New England is where kind of the problems start. But, his best year, 1,400 yards, 7 touchdowns, 111 catches. I mean, sophomore year, that was great. But in New England, he was only there for 1 year. This past season, 11 games. He started 7. What's that about? Now, number 1, he's hurt. But only starting 7 of those games, what's that about with Juju? 29 catches. What was it? 260 yards and a touchdown. Oof. Not great. Not great. Not to mention, what do you have? 6 catches, 90 yards when he played the Steelers. So if you do the quick math, 35% of his yards came in 1 game. 35% for the season came in 1 game against us. So I'm just not sure, man. So the next thing, and why this rumor is still, to me, it's still crazy. $12 million cap hit is what New England would take. Not to mention, he has to be cut to be available. So there is no way in hell that the Pittsburgh Steelers should give up any draft capital for JuJu Smith-Schuster. Not a 7th round pick, not a 7th round conditional pick, nothing at all. So number 1, he's got to become available, which I think he's probably going to be, because if you look at New England's roster, he really doesn't have a role anymore. They've drafted, they've brought in guys. I think he's going to be like the 5th receiver there. And number 1, I don't think Juju's going to want that. However, like I mentioned, $12 million, is the dead cap hit. He's owed $8 million this season. So I'm not sure what New England's going to do. I'm thinking they'll probably just eat it and just move on. But if that's the case, then maybe the Steelers take a look. Having said that, is he the right fit? Now, He's a vet now. He's a vet. So all of his past indiscretions, we can chalk that up to being young. He's a young guy. Hopefully he has matured and he's been humbled. Because look at where he was and look at where he is right now. He knows that. So if you're looking at it logically, he's probably thinking, I'm not too far from being out of the league if I don't humble myself and take in this type of role. So yeah, I think Juju probably understands that. The Steelers are definitely familiar with him. You know, he was here. So we know him for several years. So we know what he's about. Again, as long as the maturity level has hit, I think the Steeler fans and the Steeler brass will be okay with that. And what does he bring to the football field? Hey, Juju could catch the football. He made tough catches. That's one of the things that he did. Tough, contested catches. Because again, he's a bigger guy. He is. He was a bigger guy. He could catch going over the middle. He could do all of those things. And I just like the fact that he's willing. He's a willing blocker and he's a willing guy to go over the middle to catch the pass. Having said that, don't we have one of those in Roman Wilson? Now, I get it. He's a rookie and we don't know exactly what he can do, but I'd rather take my chances on that rookie than Juju as of now. But here's the arguments that I have against Juju. He's too big for the slot. Like, he can't play the slot. Now, he can play a power slot position, but if we're going to do that, don't we have Pat Freiermuth to do that? Yeah, I think we do. And then we already have plenty of slot receivers right now. We need a true outside number 2 receiver. That's what the Steelers need. Juju can't do that anymore, man. I'm sorry. And that's the whole thing. He just can't play that. He's been injured. His best days are behind him. And if we're being honest, if we had to pay him money, I don't know. Juju's just not the fit. I love JuJu Smith-Schuster. I think he's a good guy. I think he's a team player. I think he's a good football player. But as far as what the Pittsburgh Steelers would need, I don't think it makes a whole lot of sense to bring him in. Again, if he gets cut and you can bring him in on the cheap to see what he's got, sure, give him a flyer. But that wouldn't be the guy that I would just be counting on and saying, okay, yep, we got our number 2 receiver. No. Absolutely not. I would much rather go out and get a Cortland Sutton and even paying him before saying that Juju was going to be the guy.